here with Lunaea Soul Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me for my very first do-it-yourself craft that we will be doing together. So what you'll end up needing is, of course, your kit that I've given each one of you, and you'll also need some type of fast drying glue, whether it is hot glue or maybe crazy glue. You'll need something like that. And then you'll also need a sewing needle that will be able to accommodate a thicker yarn being threaded through it. So you'll need those three things. So if you need to pause this video at any time to go collect them or buy them, whatever it is that you have to do, hopefully you already have them around your house. I tried to make it as easy as possible for other stuff you need to be able to attain on your own. So whenever you grab those three things, feel free to come on back and we'll get started. So to get started, you'll need the three items that I had listed earlier. You'll need, of course, your kit that I have given all of you. And you'll also need a sewing needle that will be able to accommodate the thickness of the yarn and be able to thread through. And then third, you will need either a glue gun, maybe hot glue or crazy glue. Any type of fast drying glue works perfect for this project. So you have those three things, and let's just double check our kits just to make sure that all of us have the correct number of things in here. So inside your kit you should have 2 bundles of yarn that you see here. You'll also have a gold ring. You'll also have 1 feather that's included in the kit. And then lastly, you should have a total of 6 beads. And with all of these kits, Miss Olivia actually packed them all for you, but I did make sure to triple check all of them. So you should have these following things in your kits. If you do not have all of the items, please send me a message and I will remedy that as soon as possible, since we all don't live that far from each other. Let me know if anything. So now that you have all of that laid out, go ahead and if you have a glue gun, plug in your glue gun just to get that heated up. Go ahead and set that to the side. So we have all of our items here. Now first we're going to want to unwrap one of the yarn bundles that we have. So feel free to pick whichever one that you like better as far as coloration, and just feel free to start kind of unwrapping that bundle just to kind of get all the yarn loose. Don't completely tear it apart yet, but just unravel it enough so that you have enough to work with, because next we'll be using the ring. So go ahead and take the label off of your ring, and what you're going to go ahead and do is take one end of your yarn, and we're going to lay our ring down first, and you're going to go ahead and just kind of measure it along the middle of the ring here. And you'll want to measure the bottom of the string should meet the bottom inside of the ring that you see here. And the top, you want to measure about 4 inches up, maybe a little bit more. This is pretty much just the part that's going to be hanging on your wall, wherever you want to place it, so you can feel free to make it as short or as long as you'd like. I like to give kind of a 4-inch give on that. And whenever you do that, you'll just cross another section of yarn over so that it makes a loop around and down towards the gold ring. And then so once you have that, you'll go ahead and take the ring and just pinch the ends here. Just pinch the ends, and you'll want to tie this off around the ring. So if you have, let's see, kind of flip the ring over so that the yarn is laying underneath now, and just feel free to tie it off a couple times. So you have that tied off, and you still have that give from that end string that is closer to the bottom of that gold ring. So what you'll want to do is take your hot glue gun. Once you have all that in place and that knot is tight enough to where you feel like it's not going to wiggle around a whole lot. And what you're going to want to do is seal this to the ring, because you don't want it moving around. Right now, because it's in a knot, it could move around the ring because it's a smooth surface. So whatever fast drying glue you have, just feel free to seal that knot onto the gold ring, just so that it doesn't wiggle around along the ring. So just allow that to seal. Good old fast drying glue. Actually, now let's unravel the end here, because you will need to take a portion of string and cut it off. Oh God, you'll need scissors. Okay, yes, make sure you grab scissors for this project. So once you've unraveled the rest of your bundle, just go ahead and snip about, I'd say 5 inches off of the opposite end of your yarn. And what you're going to want to do on this part, while your glued knot is drying, is you're going to want to tie off a half circle in the middle of your ring here. So if you want to, just go ahead and kind of slip that yarn underneath however you want, just as long as it becomes a string of yarn that is extending as a half circle across your ring. So just like this. So you have your loop on top that we have sealed with the hot glue to attach it to the ring, and then you've also just now knotted a 5-inch piece of yarn to each side of your ring so that it creates a line across a half circle there. So once you have completed your knotting, you're going to go ahead and seal this as well. So go ahead and take your hot glue gun or crazy glue that you have on hand and just kind of lightly seal the yarn to the ring. Nothing too crazy, you don't need a whole lot, because luckily yarn is pretty absorbent to any surface that you glue it on. So you're going to let that dry for just a moment. And this next part, you are actually going to end up winding the rest of this yarn around that ring, and we will dive into that. However, right now, feel free to pause this video and grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe put on some good music, light a candle if you have it, grab some flowers, create an ambiance, because a lot of the symbolism of a new moon is kind of looking at new projects, maybe new intentions, new manifestations that you want to embark on. And these are the things that you want to weave into your life. And the symbolism of this craft is that with this new moon, we weave our intentions. And so this will become a very meditative process whenever you do it. So feel free, pause the video, grab some tea or coffee, put on some good meditative music or relaxing music, light a candle, and come back. Okay, so eventually, after you are done weaving all the way around your ring, you will have it meet back up to the point where your loop is again. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to, once again, tie it off. Just tie it off at the top where your yarn meets your loop. So once you have your yarn completely woven around the ring and you pretty much meet the end where that is actually the top of your loop, tighten it off and it's nice and sturdy. You're going to now wind just very loosely back down, and I'll show you exactly why. Because here, what we're going to be doing next, and make sure you wind that really tightly so it blends in. Okay, so now that you have it winding back down, now you're going to start weaving around to make the crescent moon. So you're going to start first by pulling the yarn through here, and bringing it down at an angle back onto the ring. Same thing again. And back down to the ring. And so eventually, as you complete your winding, you will have your crescent. And of course, you don't want to forget making sure to knot it. And for this one here, because it has such a tight weaving around the ring, I highly suggest double knotting. And there you go. You now have your crescent. Of course, your yarn still down here. You have your crescent, your loop, and still some give. And the next part here, you're going to want to go ahead and just lay out your ring. And then next, you're going to want to grab one of your needles. So when you grab your needle, you're going to want to thread it through. And if it's not as easy, sometimes you might have to snip the end to kind of make that end a little bit sharper for you. Sometimes. Okay, so once you've got that woven through, you're going to go ahead and take your ring once again, and what we're going to do is we're going to start weaving back through these openings here. So if you are starting from this end, you're going to start weaving, and you have to keep this tight whenever you do it. So as you're weaving it through, kind of really pull it tight and just weave it until you get to just what you think is just about the middle. So I'm almost there. Let's see. And I think that's about the middle. Kind of, you can measure it if you need to. Yeah, so that's about the middle. Knot it through. So if you bring it back through, and then so you bring it back through, and then you stick it through here, that will create your knot. This part, so you can lay your hoop down here, your ring down here, and this part you can kind of judge on the length that you want to have your beads and feather go down towards. But grab 3 of your beads fluffy. And then just go ahead and thread those through to the point that to the length that you want your moon catcher to be. And once you have that there, go ahead and grab your feather. And what we're going to do is tuck it into one of those beads. But this end's kind of long, and if you feel like you need to snip it a little bit shorter, you're more than welcome to. So go ahead and lay that end down, kind of wiggle it into there. And if that doesn't work, some cases it doesn't, feel free to grab your glue gun and just glue right below the beads. Just a little strip, and then place your feather on it and just let that dry for a moment. So now take your needle, and now you're actually going to want to bead the rest of these through. That, so you see, got each of them threaded on both ends. And you're going to want to go ahead and knot this here. And hopefully you've given yourself a long enough part that you can knot it. But if not, just hot glue the end here. I kid you not. And then just cut it off on the feather. So you have this glued on, and you'll just want to start wrapping around the feather. Just wrapping it upwards, just so that just to where it meets the bottom of the beads. And then you'll want to knot it off, just like you did with all of your other winds and weaves. Now pull it tight and knot it. As always, I like to seal the deal. So snip off just a little bit that's left. And then seal that end onto the rest of the yarn. And so, when everything's dry,